On today's show, I'll be sharing with you some enchanted examples of heirloom linens that have been passed down through the generations, as well as new family pieces made from treasured family linens. Award-winning needlework from the 1870s, early American stitch samplers, beautiful christening gowns, and a quilt that embodies our early American forefathers are just a few of the wonderful heirlooms I have the privilege of sharing with you today. Welcome to Southern Heirlooms. I'm Ken Rivenbark.
Welcome to Southern Heirlooms with Ken Rivenbark.
Welcome to Southern Heirlooms. I'm Ken Rivenbark. In rural Georgia, Maria Sellers Church spent Wednesday, September 27, 1837, looking over the clothes from the wash and attending to small jobs of mending. Clothing required hours of eye-straining sewing and arm-wearying washing each week. Holes necessitated darning, and hems had to be moved up or down, and seams in and out for growing children and hand-me-downs for younger siblings. Early American women mastered the art and skill of sewing at a young age in preparations to become a proper wife. Quality and quantity were each important in crafting linens, as demonstrated by linen presses and cupboards that overflowed with blankets, white and colored flannels, color twill coverlets for bedding, besides sheets, tablecloths, and patch bed quilts, all the work of the lady of the home. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow chose an image of Evangeline's merits and virtue as he led readers to her chamber. He wrote, "Simple that chamber was, with its curtains of white and its clothes press, ample and high, and those spacious shelves were carefully folded linens and woolen stuffs, all by the hand of Evangeline woven. This was the precious dower she would bring to her husband in marriage, better than flocks and herds, her proof of her skills as a housewife." Antique linens are works of art and should be treasured as labors of love from many generations back. Yet they are also most usable today. When we return, I will be sharing with you some incredible examples of linens that are intertwined with family lineages.
The answer to all your car buying questions.
Now in the hands of every salesperson at your North Alabama Honda dealer.
Saving you lots of time.
Folks love the Accord. How many to choose from?
48 today.
Pick your favorite color and trim level.
Best price?
$199 a month.
Compare it to a Camry.
Take a look.
Gas mileage?
Up to 36 miles per gallon.
That's one giant leap in car sales technology.
And it's only at your North Alabama Honda dealer, Huntsville, Decatur, and Florence.
Established in 1978, Randy Roper Interiors is the premier interior design firm for residential and commercial projects. The goal at Randy Roper Interiors is to work with each client to create a beautiful, warm, and comfortable space that reflects your individual tastes. Randy Roper Interiors offers one of the largest resource design libraries in Alabama and is located at 311 North Jefferson Street in downtown Huntsville. Randy Roper Interiors, where experience matters.
A Vietnamese poet named Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "If you look deeply in the palm of your hand, you will see your parents and all generations of your ancestors. All of them are alive in this moment. Each is present in your body. You are a continuation of these people." I want to share with you a collection of linens and personal effects from the Simonton family. And first, I want to begin with Miss Jimmy Simonton. She was married to John Thomas Simonton. As you see in the picture, they're a young couple, and he wrote her a Valentine's letter when they were courting. We have the original Valentine letter here. This Valentine was written on February 14th, 1883 in Atlanta, Georgia. John Thomas is writing to Miss Jimmy. "St. Valentine's Day has come around again, advantage of which I will now take, to say to one who has my heart now bound, and the avowal of my love now make. I've loved you long and loved you most fondly, of which I think you've been long aware. How often it cheers me when I'm lonely, and yet to tell you I cannot dare. Could I for a single moment believe that my pure love for you was neutered? I'd be the happiest man on earth, although by others I might be spurned. I will ever love and adore thee still. Your Valentine. They were married later in the same year of 1883, and were married some 57 years until his death in 1940. The items that I want to share are some of her personal clothing. You see beautiful handwork, lace, linen tablecloths. There's a beautiful silk vest, and it shows just how tiny she was, and a wonderful crocheted and beaded purse. The two bonnets in front of me were also made by her for her children. And speaking of one of her children, I want to refer to this beautiful christening gown. It was for her son, John Kendrick Simonton III. He was born October 25th, 1893. The photograph beside the christening gown and the bonnet depicts him wearing this gown at 3 months of age. Now, Miss Jimmy was quite an interesting character, and the family has a lot of her personal items, but one that I think is most clever and speaks of her personality is her two-peck bucket. When farmers would come around to sell their wares, she wanted to make sure that she was getting her fair share. So she would take out her two-peck bucket, and it's dated 1890, and have them fill her bucket. And 2 pecks is like a half a bushel. I'm holding in my hand young John Kendrick Simonton Sr.'s coin bank. It's cast iron, and you would put a coin, a penny perhaps, in its head, and it would tilt him over and drop it into a container. Now, the items that we were showing were Miss Jimmy Simonton's. Her mother-in-law, Catherine Ann Josie Simonton, made many of the clothing articles that we just saw, as well as these in front of me. This top coat is called a crazy quilt. It has beautiful silks and its fabric samples. It's just really beautiful. Miss Catherine Ann Josie Simonton also made this beautiful baby blanket for Miss Jimmy's first daughter, who only lived to be 1 year old. Her name was Leela Olive, and she named her Leela after Cook the slave that we mentioned earlier in the show's daughter, and they were best friends. The piece is dated 1886, and since the baby died young, we're not 100% sure if it was used as a baby blanket or a memorial blanket. We've established that Miss Catherine Ann Josie Simonton was an incredible seamstress, and I want to show you a few more pieces of her handiwork, beginning with this embroidered needlework table cover. At the end of it has hairpin lace. Hairpin lace was made literally by taking hairpins and working the lace around it with the needle. The next piece in front of me is a wonderful round table cover that has very tight embroidery work. Now, Miss Catherine Ann entered this piece in the Atlanta Needlework Show around 1870, 1880, and won a blue ribbon for it. This beautiful handkerchief is called needlework lace. It is all handmade by Miss Catherine. As her work has traveled through the generations, the current homeowner took pieces of her handmade lace and made christening gowns for her grandchildren. This piece in front of me has round medallions, and these are hand-tatted by Miss Catherine Ann, and the gown made by our current homeowner. Same as the christening gown beside it, there's a beautiful insert of handmade lace at the bottom of the gown. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be looking at more incredible early American linens.
There's nothing like seeing it for yourself. Inline Lighting has an impressive showroom near you, where you can see everything from gorgeous traditional classics to the most contemporary styles. Our certified lighting specialists are educated to help you find the perfect fixture for any space. Love your current lighting but want to save energy? We can help you there too. Inline Lighting, always open at inlinelighting.com.
Everyone loves talking about the Juice Bar.
Juicing is the easiest way to absorb nutrients into the blood system and a delicious way to focus on weight loss and support mind, body, and spirit.
I love Juice Bar. I come here after my workout regimen every day. I get either a juice or a smoothie. It makes me feel great. I feel energized and healthier, and I encourage you to come.
Come visit us at the Juice Bar.
Welcome back to Southern Heirlooms. I'm Ken Rivenbark. Next, I want to talk to you about 19th century stitch samplers. Stitch samplers have been a part of family histories through the centuries. The earliest known sampler was stitched in the mid-1500s and is housed in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, England. Yet history suggests they were utilized even earlier than the 16th century. The word exemplium is the Latin origin for the term sampler, and according to Webster's dictionary means an example or model. After the turn of the century, sampler work switched from a lady's hobby and became part of the education of young girls, in which sewing and needlework were deemed essential. Student samplers began to take on methods of stitching we are more associated with today, including decorative borders, alphabets, motifs of animals, flowers, houses, and they usually contain some type of verse, usually moralistic. I'm proud to share this first sampler with you with an early Alabama history. On December 19, 1829, 9-year-old Martha Ann Harris signed and dated the alphabet sampler she stitched at Miss Rose Montesano Female Seminary in Huntsville, Alabama. The silk on linen sampler is worked simply in alternating rows of upper and lower case letters divided by narrow borders and signed Martha Ann. The silk threads are pale shades of green, blue, pink, and beige, reflecting the exposure to light. Yet the threads on the back of the sampler, which are protected from the light, are bright blue, peach, brown, and 2 shades of green, indicating its original cheerful presentation. Made in Alabama, a book published by the Birmingham Museum of the Arts states that Mrs. Rose's advertisement in the Huntsville Democrat, the newspaper of the day, linked sewing and embroidery skills more closely with academic subjects than did other academies which advertised to students later on. More often, needlework, music, painting, and other ornamental accomplishments were listed separately from the academic curriculum and priced separately as well. I have beside me 5 samples I want to share with you, and the first one is the Lord's Prayer sample. The background of this sampler is an even weave linen. There are 28 threads per inch and 14 stitches per inch. The inside border surrounding the prayer is vine and flowers. Picture designs are an eagle and a dove that might represent war and peace. The fortress, trees, animals, and baskets or flowers are not as smoothly stitched as the rest of the sampler. Those threads are bigger, possibly being wool or linen. This sampler dates to the early 1800s. All of the samplers that I'm showing you are on even weave linen. The next sampler is the Emma Froude sampler. It measures 12 by 17 inches. It has 32 threads per inch, 16 stitches to the inch. And it has an interesting verse that I want to share with you. The verse is, "Hear instruction and be wise. There is a truth which none deny. What all who live are born to die, whether young or withered old. Life's short tale we soon will be told." Emma Froude stitched this sampler when she was 8 years old. The next sampler is the Amy Bauer sampler. This sampler dates 1810. Amy Bowers was 6 years old when she stitched this sampler. There are 32 threads to the inch and 16 stitches to the inch. Her interesting verse states, What in perfection I shall want, let uprightness supply. To virtue with the sun arise, to vice each evening died. Again, what is so fascinating about this particular sample is this child was only 6 years old. The next sampler is the Margaret Maxwell sampler. It measures 12.5 by 17 inches. It is not dated, but is very similar to examples dated 1765. There are 30 threads per inch and 15 stitches per inch in this sampler. It contains very nice pictures. A peacock, a white house, trees and birds, baskets with flowers, 2 crowns, one with the initial M and the other with EC. There are hearts, a man with a rifle, which is quite unusual. The last sampler is the MCB sampler. It's measuring 18.5 by 18.5. It has beautiful vine and acorns or strawberries in the border. There is an MCB and crown stitched in eyelet stitch, also called Algerian eye, and it is dated 1802. Now I want to share some general information and misinformation one may have regarding samplers. Most samplers were stitched with silk threads. Silkworm farms were in the South because of the abundance of mulberry leaves, and this is what the silkworm larvae fed on. The cocoons were shipped to New England, and that's where the silk mills were, where the silk fibers were spun into thread. Silk threads were easily available. The fabric used in stitching samplers was most often an even weave linen. Even weave means the linen was woven with the same number of threads, warp, running vertical, and weft, horizontal. This makes it easier to keep the stitches symmetrical. An uneven weave is much harder to work with. Probably the most perpetuated myth is that if it has a crown on it, it's English. This is not true. There are samplers that were stitched in the colonies and United States that have crowns. From 1607, when Jamestown was settled, until 1776, we were all English. Another myth was little girls stitched samplers to learn their letters and numbers. This is not true. Any little girl who could stitch a sampler already knew her letters and numbers. They stitched samplers to learn to embroider. Linens were so valued and hard to come by that they were embroidered or monogrammed, and they were often listed in wills to be passed down to the next generation. It's a lot of hard work and a lengthy process to plant the flax or cotton seed, grow the plants, harvest the flax, or pick the cotton, spin the thread, weave the cloth, and make the linens. These linens were precious and were embroidered, and they were considered keepsakes of the family.
Open up the door, take a step outside, feel the sunny warmth, and close your eyes. Happiness is right here, right now.
The following advertisement is proudly sponsored by Moss Lumber Company of Gurley, Alabama. A New Leash on Life helps thousands of homeless animals each year find a forever home. Our main purpose is to end the euthanasia of wonderful adoptable pets in our community. Your support is greatly needed to carry out our mission. Opportunities are available to volunteer in the facility, foster a loving animal, donate to meet the financial needs of these animals, and shop in our marketplace thrift store. Visit us today. A New Leash on Life needs you.
Rivenbark & Roper Antiques began serving customers June 2006 and is regarded as Huntsville's finest antique gallery. The shop represents high-quality antiques from the 18th to the early 20th centuries, the largest collection of silver in North Alabama, Chinese and Japanese export porcelains, and original art from around the world. From day one, the business has focused on three principles that have established the essence of Rivenbark and Roper Antiques. They take great pride in providing their clients with the highest quality merchandise at the lowest prices possible, offering hospitality and personal service to build a relationship of trust, and to celebrate with customers the joy of bringing beauty, style, and elegance to their homes. Rivenbark and Roper Antiques has gained the reputation of offering a high-quality product with extensive personal service. The shop has lived by the strict policy of not selling reproduction furniture and abiding by the original guidelines of not selling furniture newer than 1940. Their strengths are reflected in their dedicated customers. Customers know that when they engage in business with Rivenbark and Roper, they can count on truth, knowledgeable information, and customer dedication.
Welcome back to Southern Heirlooms. I'm Ken Rivenbark. We're continuing our segment on heirloom linens that are from the Simonton family. Before me are two American coverlets. These are hand-loomed, and they are called summer-winter coverlets. This one is dated 1835. The blue would be used during the winter time. Then the summer, it would be the reverse side. So we also dated and signed 1835. The one beside me is a little bit later. It's the same, double-sided. This one's dated 1850. Again, this would be the winter side, where this would be the summer side. Another coverlet I want to show you is from the 1820s. It is called an overshot coverlet and is also a hand-loomed. This multicolored piece is quite fascinating. I want to close this segment on early American linens by sharing with you probably the most incredible quilt I've ever seen. Definitely the rarest. This is a signature quilt. It's dated 1880 and 1881. It was made as a fundraiser for the United States Civil War veterans. It was made by Sarah Gallup in Leominster, Massachusetts. She, in order to raise money, cut out these individual squares, 2 each, and sent them to prominent politicians, writers, prominent people of the day in the 1880 time frame, and asked them to sign it. They did and returned it. She made 2 quilts. This one in front of us is the only one that's ever been on the market. The other she kept for herself. I want to share with you some fascinating signatures that are on this piece of Americana. Out of the 100 people she sent the squares to, 88 responded. Those who responded included General Ulysses Grant, Rutherford Hayes, William Tecumseh Sherman, J.A. Garfield, Henry W. Longfellow, John Whitaker, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Charles Francis Adams, Louisa May Alcott, the Reverend Harry Ward Beecher, brother of Uncle Tom's Cabin author Harriet Beecher Stowe, Edwards Everett Hale, and Thomas Wentworth Higgins. Prominent people in various reform movements added their signatures to the quilt also, including Frederick Douglass and Mary A. Livermore. Mary was a nationally known reporter, editor, lecturer, and president of the Massachusetts Women's Suffrage Association, as well as president of the Massachusetts Women's Christian Tolerance Union. In short, this quilt is a snapshot of the America's political, military, and cultural leaders of the Gilded Age. It is a remarkable testament, in particular, to the prominence of Massachusetts literary figures. Mrs. Gallup finished only one of her 2 quilts. One set of white autographed squares was pieced together with red cotton to form Ohio star blocks, which were then sashed with blue, although now faded to gray. I love what I do. I came into this segment talking about family linens from generations past. I did not realize that I was going to have the opportunity to sit and touch such a piece of American history. To be here and see these hand-signed signatures of our American forefathers is incredible. I want to say thank you to the family for sharing your treasures, for allowing us to relive our American history.
Come visit the Little Green Store on Montesano Mountain. The Little Green Store carries art, ceramics, jewelry, and gift items representing the work of over 100 artists and artisans. Every piece is American-made, and most of the art showcases the creative pulse and energy of Huntsville and North Alabama. Engage with your community and give local artists a voice when you purchase local, high-quality, and environmentally friendly art and design. The friendly staff at the Little Green Store is eager to assist you in finding special and unique gifts for every occasion. The Little Green Store on Montesano Mountain.
Peace Loving Animals is an animal rescue facility located in Tanner, Alabama, where we educate the community of the humane treatment of animals, caring for abandoned strays, and finding homes for unwanted yet lovable pets. You can be the voice for an abandoned animal by supporting Peace Loving Animals today. This advertisement is proudly sponsored by Keystone Laboratories of Decatur, Alabama, helping protect the public health and environment through quality testing.
To say you've worked too hard to let this economy jeopardize your future would be an understatement. While you don't have control over today's markets, you do have control over how well prepared you are for the future. That's where the Keene Group at UBS Financial Services Incorporated in Huntsville can help. Wealth Management Advisors Penny and Tom Keene will create a plan that can help you weather the uncertain markets while keeping you on track. Call or visit our website, the Keene Group at UBS Financial Services Incorporated in Huntsville. Member FINRA SIPC.
I wish to thank our homeowners for sharing their love of early American treasures in their linens and sharing their personal family stories with us. I hope you've seen firsthand the beauty of antique linens, as well as their place in telling our American history. With a heart full of gratitude, I'm Ken Rivenbark. The purpose of Southern Heirlooms with Ken Rivenbark is to touch and embrace lives through the celebration of family histories. Please visit our website, southernheirloomstv.com, to learn more about today's show, read our recent blogs, sign up for our e-newsletter, as well as find contact information for speaking engagements. Southern Heirlooms with Ken Rivenbark greatly appreciates your support. Thank you.